Welcome to AVIDEngage. I'm Sarah Tebbett, the Community Development Officer here at Harmony in Southeast Queensland. I'm joined today by Charlotte and Frankie, the canine superstar. You will have seen Charlotte in one of our AVIDEngage videos previously, and she was very popular, so we've brought her back today to have another conversation. So welcome, Charlotte.
Thank you so much for having me back.
And welcome, Frankie.
Hey, Frankie.
So we've got Charlotte back today to talk to us about keeping your dog active and stimulated and engaged in play and all of those things, but also calm when you're not home. We know that over the last couple of years, many of you have purchased pets for the first time.
Definitely.
And so one of the issues that we're having now is that we're back out in the world and our pets are often at home. So what are the sort of things that, that we can do to make sure that they're not feeling stressed or anxious when we're leaving, or what can we do before we go out in the morning so that they're feeling like they've had some kind of interaction or stimulation?
Absolutely. So there are actually a number of things we can be doing. The first thing is just making sure that all our pets' necessities, their needs are met. So making sure that they are, when we leave them, they are left with that food, that water that they want, the toys. If you've got an active dog like Frankie here, you'll definitely need some toys on hand just that they can interact with. You can use standard toys dogs can chew on, tug toys, and you can even get toys that you stuff treats in and the dog has to try and get out. So you've got a few things like that you want to make sure that your dog has access to keep them nice and stimulated throughout the day. But before you even leave the house, there are some things we can be doing, such as making sure your dog goes for a walk. And exercise is really important. It's only part of the equation, but it is super important. You want to make sure that your dog hasn't got all that excess energy and stuff before you leave the house. Otherwise, they will find other ways to keep themselves preoccupied. With boredom comes chewing and digging and barking and whining and things like that. So you do want to make sure that your dog has physically released all that energy before you start leaving them home alone. So things like frisbee is a great way to burn off some energy. Some trick training is fabulous. Or just taking your dog for a nice long walk where they can have a sniff on the ground and things like that. So sniffing actually has two really important, there's two important reasons why we let our dogs sniff. The first thing is it does mentally stimulate our dogs, because on those walks out there when the dog's having a sniff, they're just bombarded with all these scents and they don't actually have that ability to process all those smells on that walk because there are just too many smells, too much going on. Right. And so you'll often find that if you take your dog for a walk, let them have a lot of sniffing time, a lot of smell time, that the dog will come home and they'll go have a lie down, or they'll go have a rest, or they'll go have a sleep. And it's during that rest period that our dogs are actually processing those smells, sorting them out. And I like to think of it as a bunch of little filing cabinets in the dog's head. They process all those smells so they can refer to them later. The second reason why we let our dogs sniff is it actually releases oxytocin. So it actually makes our dogs feel good, which is always important. If your dog's happy when you leave them alone, they're going to be happier than a dog that's stressed out that you're leaving the house.
Well, that's great. That's really great information because, you know, one of the things that when you are out walking, you know, the first thing that the dog wants to do is interact with other dogs, interact with other people. And, you know, for my dog, I actually feel like we have to stop every 30 metres because there's something to sniff.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I have heard that about the sniffing and that's part of the stimulation for a dog, and it's not just a physical exercise. So, Charlotte, one of the questions that we see a lot and we hear a lot in our communities is people concerned that a neighbour's dog is barking when they're not home. So can you tell us why the dog is barking and how we might be able to address it?
Absolutely. So barking is something I get asked about all the time. It's one of the most common things. Hey, are you going to bark on cue? But it is Well, we've got to remember that it is a natural behaviour for dogs. So we've got to first identify whether our dog's barking is a natural or an abnormal behaviour. A natural behaviour would be, say, if you had someone approaching your front door. That's absolutely natural for a dog, and it's normal for a dog to have a bit of a bark, let you know there's someone approaching their property, their territory, your house. Whereas if you've got a dog that's just non-stop barking constantly all the time, day and night, or just while you're out of the house, then you've got to, there's some training and some techniques we can implement to help reduce that. If your dog's barking because neighbours' dogs are barking, we can do something called sound desensitization. And what that is sound exposure. So we're exposing our dog to a sound and rewarding them for not reacting to it. So a common way to do this is to look up on YouTube barking dog sounds and to play it on a low volume for your dog. You want to keep it nice and low and your dog will hear it, and if they stay quiet, you want to reward them. Because the more we reward a behaviour, the more likely our dog is to display this. Because they go, hang on, this is how I'm succeeding, this is how I'm being rewarded. So, and then what you can do is gradually increase the level, the volume, as your dog gets better. So you start going a bit higher each time. When they're staying quiet, you're rewarding and rewarding. So that next time your dog hears the neighbour's dog, it may be less likely to react and respond to that with a bark.
That's a fantastic tip, and I think it's something that for a lot of people it's quite stressful for the owners if they know that they're leaving the home and that their dog is either distressed or barking in reaction to the neighbours' dogs or the machinery or something that's a constant noise. And the fact that you can actually do something about it yourself without having to bring in someone else, that's really great to know.
Absolutely. So if you identify that your dog's barking each time the garbage truck goes past, because they make quite a distinct noise with the braking and things like that, you can look up those sounds on YouTube. So garbage truck noises, put that into YouTube, that'll bring it up. It could be anything. It could be the postie as he goes past. It could be knocks on the door. If your dog's barking every time someone knocks on the door, same thing. You could record yourself knocking at sporadic moments and just kind of record a couple of series of those noises and then play it on nice and low for your dog and gradually increase that volume that way. So it could be anything. It could be you saying hello. If your dog barks every time you say hello to someone like that, which is a common, I do see that a lot.
I have one of those.
Yeah, one of those, yep. Every time, because the dogs have associated us saying hello with new people coming in the door. So you could desensitize them with that. Or it could be any other noise if there's construction happening near you, because some of those noises can be a bit stressful for dogs. You just want to reward them for staying nice and calm, nice and quiet, because we're not just trying to stop that barking. We're not just trying to stop the behaviour. We're trying to lift our dogs up. We're trying to make sure they're comfortable, make sure they're happy, make sure they're not stressed or scared with these potentially scary noises. And I guess the last thing as well is you can also apply this to fireworks or thunderstorms, which is a common noise that people struggle with. You hear about dogs with firework phobias or storm phobias and things like that. It's a great way just to help boost up that confidence a little bit and just let them succeed when they hear these noises.
Well, thanks so much to Charlotte and Frankie for all of that really valuable information, and I really appreciate you spending the time with us today to give us some of your insights and wisdom, and for Frankie,
thank you so
for
much
being part of today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we've been filming today from Plantation Homes on the Sunshine Coast at Harmony. So we send out a thanks to Plantation Home for this lovely site for us to film in today, and we look forward to seeing you next time on AVIDEngage.